A lot of people fail on their quest to get stronger, fitter, leaner, basically because they're overwhelmed by the magnitude of the goal. So they see themselves as being in a certain position that's providing them with some level of pain and discomfort, psychologically, physically, and they want to get to a point that's much further away, and they're overwhelmed by the size of that gap. And so what the body does and what the mind does is it tends to complicate things and make things difficult to think about, and it makes that gap seem even bigger, and it makes the process just seem totally overwhelming, and people never really get started, or they do get started but they fail to follow through and go all the way and achieve that end goal. So the secret for me, in my opinion, is to reduce the complexity, reduce the overwhelm, and make goals smaller and tangible. A saying I really like is make it to breakfast. Make it to your next meal. Okay, so it's like a Navy SEAL sort of saying when the training's really difficult and they're not sure whether these guys can get through it, and a lot of people failing and dropping out of training around them, and they've got a saying like make it through. You know, these guys are training all day. And it's like make it through to the next meal. So just make it your goal to just get through that manageable bite-sized chunk. Don't view it that I've got to get through all today and then I'm not going to have any sleep tonight and then I'm going to get up tomorrow and have to do it over again and this is going to last like a number of weeks. Because when you view something that big, you make it big and you make it a much bigger issue that your brain struggles to get itself around, mentally it struggles to think about that because it's just not tangible and it doesn't seem achievable. So just make it through to the next meal, and that's something for the last few years I've done that with business and I've done that with my own training, which is what I want to talk to you about today. So last few weeks I've had a lot on, and my training's been good, but I've slipped back to what I call default mode, and we all have a default mode, and that is our baseline comfortable behaviour. So for me, I'm the sort of character where I could never not train, like, because I just get too ratty and my mood starts to get shit and things don't tend to work for me. If I have periods where I just don't train, that doesn't work. Well, it never happens. It just doesn't really happen. Even if I'm injured or whatever, I'll find some way to do some training. I might have, every now and again I'll have like a full week where maybe nothing gets done, but I'm saying beyond that, it's very unusual for me to have more than a few days off. That's not to say I train every day, because I don't. Normally when I'm busy, I need to get three sessions in per week, and a fourth session or a fifth session is a total bonus. But my default behaviour is to hit the weights. Okay, I'm an explosive guy. I'm a fast runner when I played rugby and when I was at school. Just over 11 seconds, 100 metre time. So naturally my body is very comfortable doing particularly low rep resistance training. So sets of 5, I can get very strong very quickly, and I enjoy it, which is great. And there's no reason, that type of training actually, when people are training cosmetically for what they look like, is superior anyway when you compare it to more cardiovascular based training, like lots of endurance training and things like that. So there's no issue with that. But my issue is that when I've got a lot on my plate, and what I tend to do is I go back to that comfort zone behaviour and those comfort zones habits of doing resistance work, and that comes at the expense of doing fitness work. Now again, because I'm a fast twitch muscle fibre type person naturally, I don't keep my kind of anaerobic conditioning. I've got to work quite hard to be fit. So the point I'm making is that doesn't make me feel comfortable, because I don't feel like a well-rounded individual. When I'm concentrating, if I've like to say probably an 8-week period now where I've just really concentrated on weights, not done any running. I did a 10k run, Born Survivor run a few weeks ago, and I didn't feel as fit as I'd probably have liked to have felt, even though it was a fun run with all the guys from the gym. We had a fantastic day out. It was brilliant, but psychologically sometimes things stick with you, don't they, a little bit, and I just thought I just need to up. Felt a bit heavy, bit slow, not quite as fit as I'd like to have felt, basically, because I've not been doing any of that type of training. So bring it back to this sort of Navy SEALs analogy of like make it through to the next meal. I then put a little plan in place. It doesn't have to be complicated. All I did, I just wrote my goals up on the board there. So I wrote, I hope you can read that, I wrote there, the goal is 12 conditioning sessions. And then I wrote like the numbers 1 right down to 12, okay? And I wrote myself a deadline. Deadlines are really important with goals. So 10th of May. So I started that on the 13th of January, February, March, April. Yeah, 13th of April started that. Okay, and all it is, it's just a dead simple log. I've wrote myself out 12 spaces because I want to get 12 sessions in down there. I want to get 12 sessions in before that deadline. For me to hit that, all I've got to do is 3 sessions per week. So that's manageable for me. And what I'm classing as a session, like yesterday I was in a rush. Where is it? Monday I was in a rush. So it was like, I did a weight session, but it was just like 3 sprints on the dog sled. It literally takes that. You know, I did it where I was doing it with Sam, so one of us was working, one of us was resting. It's probably like 4 minutes work, but it smashes you to pieces. Like, you know, it takes 20 minutes to recover when you put it in as hard as you can. So I'm not saying that these are like going out and running 10k. You know, it might just be a little bit at the end of the weights, but for me, I know that's all I need to get fit. I just need them extra 5 minutes at the end of a session. You know, them extra little bits like that, they will get me fit and very quickly. Like over like that time frame, over that month there, that's 12 sessions. That's enough for me. I'll be where I want to be at the end of that. And some of them are longer, do you know what I mean? Like that one there, 6 1-kilometre efforts on the watt bike. So they were taking me like, you know, I was aiming for like 1 minute 20, but like when I got tired it was 1 minute 30, and then I was resting 1 minute 30. So 6 threes, 18 minutes. So that was done at the end of a weight session, but it's like 18 minutes is longer than 3 minutes on Monday on the dog sled. So what the point I'm making is it doesn't have to be complicated. You know, for you, you might be sat at home and you might not be doing anything. Well, just do a little whiteboard thing like that in your house, or get a little note in your diary and just say, right, I'm going to walk 3 times a week. Round the block will get you started, wouldn't it? Like, at the end of the day, people complicate it because they make the goal too big. They're like, oh, I've got to be doing all this cardio, I've got to be doing all this strength training, I've got to be eating all this fancy food. Why not just set a goal? Why not just say, right, okay, I don't drink any water and I don't do any exercise. Right, I'm going to take one of them to work with me, 1.5 litres of water every day, and I'm going to write down like a log in the back of my diary or on a whiteboard in your house or whatever. I'm going to write down a log of how much water I drank that day. It might even be that you only get through 1/2 litre, but at the end of the day that's 1/2 litre more than you probably drank the day before, and then you can up it the next day. Okay, and then it might be that you say, right, I'm just going to aim to go for like a 10-minute walk 3 times this week. Okay, and you can scale that right up. You could scale it right up to somebody who's in great shape, who's really strong, who suffers because they don't do any mobility work and the shoulders are a bit knackered when they're training. Okay, that can be someone who's at the top of their game. That can be the strongest guy in the gym, in any gym around the world. Okay, and that person could set a goal of, right, I want to do, after each workout, 10 minutes mobility work with a foam roller, a lacrosse ball and a resistance band. And that might be their goal, and then they log it down in the diary when they've done it like that. And setting these simple goals, like making it through to the next meal, as the Navy SEALs call it, the technical term for it is it's a process goal. You're focusing on the process, not on the outcome. And in my experience, and I'm massively into goals with my business and with my own training and when I'm training clients, I think that's how you get good results in all areas of your life. But the secret with goal setting is to stay focused on the process, and then it leads to the outcome, doesn't it? So if I stay focused on just doing that, rather than overwhelming myself with like the outcome of wanting to be a bit fitter, because that could be something that weighs down on my mind, I'll just stay focused on the actual process of getting to that end goal, because that's all I can control on a daily basis. So then on a daily basis, I'm not overwhelmed with the goal because I'm taking action every day. Put that stuff into action. Don't just watch these little 10-minute blog videos that I do and think, oh, that's fancy, blah, 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 I'll start that next week. Because you are your daily habits, aren't you? Simple. Are you someone who's lean or are you overweight? Either or, it's just because the lean person has got different daily habits to the overweight person. Are you strong or are you weak? The person who's strong has got different daily habits than the weak person. Are you mentally strong or are you mentally weak? The mentally strong person has got different daily habits. They're thinking differently about situations. The same situation can happen, they'll view it one way and the mentally weak person will view it another way. It's simple, it's your life. You make of it what you want to make of it, guys, okay? But put this stuff into action.